give up, which is not really an option for us because I don't want to give up and we don't have the funds, so that was the only option left really.
It's extremely expensive, and to set up the crowdfunding page so that if this cycle is unsuccessful, then we can jump straight into the next one, because it's obviously an issue of timing as well, and being as fast as we can as we're all ageing.
Anna, who's 40, is a childminder. She suffered a miscarriage during the treatment. 2 rounds were free on the NHS. She and Simon have since spent £16,000 to go private. Staff at this fertility clinic say crowdfunding is just the latest idea for those determined to start a family.
Couples are remortgaging, they're borrowing, sometimes more than they can afford, so it can be a desperate struggle. We're always trying to give realistic expectation of chances of success, and we can try and break down that individual's couple's chance of success depending on past treatment and their history.
A lot of our friends, I think, felt that they didn't know how to help us and they desperately wanted to help, and this is their way of contributing to hopefully giving us a family. We're not left thinking that that's it if this doesn't work. We've got some hope that we can try again.
Health guidelines recommend that women under 40 should be allowed 3 cycles of IVF on the NHS. But those turning 40 during a cycle shouldn't be offered another one. Crowdfunding IVF is more popular in the USA, but has sparked a debate about whether it's right to ask others to pay. Derek Johnson, ITV News, Brighton.
In other news, 5 men have been found guilty of keeping 2 men against their will and torturing them at a flat in Brighton. The court heard how the 5 stabbed one of their victims in the arm and burnt his feet with an iron at a flat in Wellington Road in Brighton in October 2015. Police found another of the victims tied up in the boot of a car. The men will be sentenced in April.
People living in West Sussex will pay almost 4% more for council tax from April. It means a Band D property will have to pay an extra £47 a year. At a full council meeting today, councillors agreed budget plans that include £17 million of savings.
A number of British tourists have been taken to hospital after they were thrown from a speedboat into the sea off Norway. 2 boats were returning from a sightseeing trip organised by Surrey travel agents Ingham's. In a statement, the company based in Godalming says staff are assisting 10 guests who took a boat excursion as part of their Arctic fjord holiday. It's believed the speedboat hit a fountain in the harbour near the town of Harstad.
Fortunately, they had survival suits and life vest on. People were screaming, they were shouting, rescue us. It was quite a dramatic sight. I saw it from about 100 meters from where I'm standing now.
A passenger plane landing at Southampton Airport has had a near miss with a drone. The airport says it happened on Monday. At one point, the drone was flown about 100 feet above the Flybe plane. Police carried out a search of the area, but the drone or its operator wasn't found.
Southern Rail today said it hopes to run around 3/4 of its trains during a strike by train guards next Wednesday. However, some trains between London Bridge and Brighton and along the south coast from Southampton and Portsmouth won't operate.
Meanwhile, there's growing pressure tonight from passengers and the South's business community to resolve the dispute over driver-only trains. Our transport correspondent Mike Pearce has more.
Well, the latest news tonight is that both sides, ASLEF and Southern Trains, are expected to hold peace talks next week, possibly Tuesday or Wednesday. But there are calls tonight for all sides to settle the dispute as fast as possible.
Keep the cars on the train!
News the agreement with the drivers' union hit the buffers has met with anger. More protests from passengers are on the cards, along with one from the business community. They say the 10-month dispute has cost the region's economy more than £300 million. So on Monday they'll hold a protest in Eastbourne and publish a series of Great Train Robbery posters, with union leaders, company executives and politicians accused of robbing passengers of 20,000 cancelled trains and destroying lives. They say all sides must get together.
Businesses are laying staff off. Some have closed already, others are seriously worried about cash flow. and we want to protect people's livelihoods and jobs. Enough is enough. Really is enough now.
Meanwhile, the drivers' union ASLEF is left in an embarrassing situation. Almost 3 weeks of talks of the TUC led to an agreement with the General Secretary, which the union's members have now rejected. That could mean more strikes.
What we need now is just to get both sides around the table again. They were that close to an agreement before. The vote was really close, so there must be the makings of a settlement here. Get back around the table and just push it that extra half a mile.
A strike by RMT guards, or onboard supervisors as they're now called, is still on for next Wednesday. And Southern has said what services it plans to run next Wednesday during that strike. It says there'll be around 75% of trains running. That means 500 to 600 trains will not. They will be cancelled, so there will be severe disruption. Another row tonight, the RMT union is saying the company is training 40 volunteers to try and help run those services. It says it doesn't believe they'll be safety trained. Of course, Southern is saying that is not the case. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Three Bridges Station.
Tiny plastic pellets have been found washed up after stormy conditions on beaches on the Isle of Wight. The lentil-sized objects known as nurdles are used by industrial companies to make new plastic products. It's estimated billions are lost in the UK each year and can cause damage to birds and fish. Conservation volunteers have found the pellets on almost 3/4 of the country's beaches.
More than 2,500 new homes could be built in Portsmouth city centre under fresh plans to transform the area. This is how the new city centre north development could look on land around the former Tricorn Centre, which was demolished 13 years ago. It brings to an end plans to create a major new shopping centre as part of the failed £500 million Northern Quarter project.
A bearded dragon has been found abandoned in a bag in Gosport. The lizard was found dumped on Albert Street on Sunday night. It's now being looked after by the RSPCA.
You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us. Coming up, Simon with that weekend weather forecast.
And straight from the horse's mouth, we'll be looking at some of racing's unsung heroes in line to win some well-deserved recognition.
For more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Give us a call, 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or you can get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Now, how long did your commute to work take this morning? If you were late, you might not be surprised to hear that the amount of traffic on our roads is at a record high.
Yes, scenes like these, shot at locations across our region, will be very familiar, sadly, to you. New transport figures show things like the school run and the journey to work are clocking up, with us driving more miles than ever before.
Road safety campaigns say the study should give cause for alarm. Matt Price reports now on whether we're on the road to gridlock Britain.
A familiar sight, the Friday morning rush hour, streams of traffic waiting and waiting, trying to get from A to B. And for courier Eric Francis, a jam is part of the job.
You just have to grin and bear it, I'm afraid.
Of the 7 hours he spends on the road each day, 3 of them are sitting here still.
You just can't get around so quickly, so therefore the jobs that you're picking up during the day and delivering take that much longer. It was quite pleasurable 30 years ago, but it's really bad now. It's stop-start all the way.
And it's likely Eric isn't alone in his frustration. Provisional government figures show last year just over 320 billion vehicle miles were travelled across Great Britain, most of them in the car, 249.5 billion. But HGV traffic also went up by almost 3% to 17.1 billion miles travelled. So are we on the road to gridlock Britain? One road safety campaign group say yes.
You build a road, it fills up. You build a motorway, it fills up. It's simply not working. And actually there's a really serious issue here. It's not just about being late for work. Traffic that stands contributes to pollution. It's time the government did something, not just about the traffic. This is a major health emergency.
With flyovers and more than 150 new bridges...
The rise in traffic could be in part due to the expansion of the road network. It was in 1959 when the M1 opened, Britain's first motorway, vastly reducing journey times. Fast forward almost 60 years and these commuters think public transport is now the best bet.
The train is quicker, doesn't get affected by traffic.
If you come in the car, it costs you so much to park. It's far, far easier to come in on the train.
You're not stuck in traffic, and you get, obviously there's a few more changes, but, it's a lot quicker, less fuel.
In a statement, the Department for Transport told ITV News they're investing a record £23 billion to get traffic moving. They're also spending a further £175 million on improving the safety on 50 of England's most dangerous roads. The government report also claims economic growth and a slight reduction to fuel prices during certain months could have added to the extra traffic on our roads. But that is little consolation to these drivers who are waiting and waiting to get home for the weekend. Matt Price, ITV News.
It's 13 minutes past 6, time to find out what's making the headlines on the ITV National News. To London now, and Ranveer Singh.
Tony Blair calls for Britain to rise up against Brexit. The former Prime Minister says leaving the EU isn't inevitable and we could still change our minds. Another blow for Donald Trump. The president's pick for National Security Advisor turns down the job. And the heartwarming story of the woman marrying the homeless man she befriended 40 years ago. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Now, the recent revelations surrounding child abuse in football have, of course, shocked the sporting community. Not least allegations of abuse involving young players at Southampton Football Club in the 1980s and 90s.
Well, in the wake of the scandal, one of the club's greatest players, Matt Le Tissier, is joining forces with the NSPCC to help protect the next generation of children from abuse. Rachel Hepworth joined him as he spoke to children at a Hampshire primary school.
First of all, we'd like to introduce Matt Le Tissier.
A guest of honour and an assembly with a difference for pupils at Holterworth Primary in Romsey.
If somebody is hurting the outside of your body, that is not okay.
It's a hard subject to talk about, but one that can't be shied away from.
For me, given what's happened in football recently, the players that have spoken out recently, I think if they'd had that knowledge back then as kids, it would have been far more easier for them to come out and say there were things happening in their lives that shouldn't have been happening.
Like many others, he was rocked by the revelations emerging from his beloved club. Former players making allegations of sexual abuse against former youth coach Bob Higgins, claims he has always denied.
The brave ones were the ones that came out first, and they kind of gave people the confidence. Other people that have contacted me that have come out and said, there's stuff that's been on their mind for many, many years, giving them the confidence to come out and speak themselves and get a weight lifted off their mind.
And it's their bravery that's prompted him to do his bit, joining the NSPCC in their Speak Out, Stay Safe campaign, protecting the next generation.
It's never too young to start these safeguarding messages. It's so important that children understand that if they have a worry, that they can find a safe grown-up to speak to.
The Assembly is designed to empower children of all ages, and the message is working.
Well, it encouraged people to speak up and just say what your problem is and just get some help. If I'm in trouble, I would always ask an adult.
Matt remains a hero for these youngsters and won't let the abuse scandal taint his memories of the good times, but he recognises he was one of the lucky ones.
There's a lot of boys that didn't have careers because of what happened to them before they had the chance to become professionals. So it's made a huge impact on their lives, and hopefully we'll get the people brought to justice.
Rachel Hepworth, ITV News in Romsey.
And some breaking news. AFC Bournemouth have been charged by the FA for failing to ensure anti-doping officials knew where players were for drugs testing. The club has allegedly failed to ensure its information was accurate on 3 occasions. They have until February the 23rd to respond to the charge.
Well, let's continue the footballing theme now with Andrew Page. And Andrew, big day for the U's tomorrow.
Certainly is. Come on, you Yellows. Oxford United carry all our hopes and dreams in the FA Cup. They're our last team left in the competition and they face Premier League Middlesbrough tomorrow. It's the first time the club's been in the 5th round since 1994. The team, full of confidence, as they're also doing well in League 2 and the EFL Trophy. More than 3,000 fans will travel to Teesside to see if Oxford can reach the FA Cup quarter-finals for the first time in over 50 years.
The club haven't been in the quarter-final since 1964, so you know, there's something that certainly, if we are successful, that we can look forward to. We know we've got one hell of a task in front of us before that. We start thinking about that, but it's a game that we're not afraid of, and we're certainly looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. You know, we've been successful, not in recent history, but years and years back. So and we've got our own little chance to write history again. And I think it's been a good 40 odd 50 years since we got to the next stage after the Middlesbrough. So if we can put our little part in history, we're massively motivated to do so.
Now the odds for those of you that like a flutter, because Oxford are the outsiders for this, 6-1, or X's as they like to say in tic-tac, which is 6 backwards, X's. The FA Cup means no matches for Southampton, Bournemouth or Reading this weekend, but Southampton have signed former Barcelona and Juventus defender Martin Caceres. The Uruguay international joins until the end of the season. Brighton are now 7-1 on to get promotion, yet at the start of the season they were 14-1 against. That's 10s, that's 4s, so 14-1 net and roof. Tomorrow they travel to Barnsley.
When you look at the quality of play that they've lost, and they're still going well on the back of a really good victory at Aston Villa at the weekend. They are a very, very good side, and credit to the manager and the club for the way that they've gone about it.
Elsewhere this weekend, in League 1, relegation threatens Swindon host Oldham, and in League 2, Portsmouth and Crawley hope to build on great midweek wins. Well, Crawley 100-1 to get promotion. That's 100-1, a centenary. Portsmouth have come in from evens, now 2-1 on, and there'll be plenty of tic-tac at the racecourses this weekend, with Ascot top of the bill. But on Monday, it's the people behind the scenes who will be pushed into the spotlight with the Godolphin Studs and Stable Awards, as Penny Sylvester explains.
Last break of the game. Will he score? Oh, yes! Oh, what a finish!
Selco, sponsoring ITV Meridian Sports Report.
There's no disguising Jamie Bunsel's love of horses. He works out of Paul Henderson's yard at Whitsbury near Fordingbridge.
He's a very personal lad, and he's a well-liked lad, and he's hard-working, and I think that sort of draws everybody along with him. And it, if everybody's a bit stuck and you go, I could do somebody going racing on Sunday, you've only got to ask him, and he's there straight away.
It's just a great life. It's just something. There's never a Monday morning where I get up and don't want to go in. It's a passion, it's not a job.
New arrivals at Watership Downstud near Newbury have come under the care of Terry Doherty for the past 24 years. It's been his life's work.
I think the most important thing is dedication and horsemanship and integrity. And if you've got those three things, which Terry has in abundance, then I think you've got a real special person.
I live for horses. I enjoy it on a daily basis, summer, winter alike. I mean, being with animals is just what I was born for.
Across the county boundary, nestling beneath the Marlborough Gallops, is Manton. It's here that assistant trainer Rory O'Dowd casts an experienced eye over his charges. He's in the running for the Leadership Award.
Loyalty, trust, instinctive integrity, he kind of he ticks all those boxes.
All the lads have to be happy in the yard. It's easier to have everyone working with you than against you.
And it's the work ethic that's led to a nomination for Chetan Singh, a work rider at Andrew Balding's yard near Kingsclear.
He's a totally reliable member of the team. He's a great team player, and he's dedicated to his job and utterly dependable, which is so important to have staff like that.
We're coming morning 7 o'clock, put horses tag on, then we have to go in the trotting school, ride out horses. we are happy with like a team.
4 workers in the racing industry tipped for top honours at the awards ceremony on Monday. Penny Sylvester, ITV News.
The big race tomorrow is the Ascot Chase. Q-Card, the hot favourite. But if you want an each-way bet, Royal Regatta at 7-1, Neves 7-1. Could be worth a flutter.
We're on it, Pacey.
We're on it.
And on a very serious note, please do not come in and steal our show, all right?
Do apologise.
We can outdo him, can't we?
Show off.
We don't know what it means. But...
Thanks, Andrew, very much.
Now, it was a remarkable story of courage and devotion, an incredible friendship between a boy and his dog.
Yes, do you remember Owen and Hatchie from Basingstoke? It was almost 5 years ago we first reported on them. They'd both suffered from cruel misfortunes. Owen from a rare genetic disorder, Hatchie lost a leg and his tail after being tied to a railway line. Incredible. But following an amazing twist of fate, they become the closest of friends.
But it didn't end there. Their story captured the hearts of everyone who saw it. And at the Crufts Dog Show in 2013, they won a prestigious and coveted award.
Our winners of Friends for Life 2013, Owen and Hatchie.
Fab. And we're delighted to say that Owen is now doing well at secondary school and Hatchie is still very much his best friend.
So where is all this taking us? Well, to another really heartwarming story of how a dog has changed the lives of a teenager with autism and his family. And as Claire Manning now reports, they too are in the running for a Crufts Friends for Life award.
It is no exaggeration, I promise, when I tell you this young man's life has changed almost beyond recognition thanks to his dog, Caddy. Joel, who's 13, has autism, and up until 4 years ago, before Caddy arrived, Joel had never smiled. Pretty difficult to believe looking at this happy young man today.
He knows he can trust Caddy. Caddy is that permanent thing that's already there. So in this world that he lives in that is so uncertain in his eyes, Caddy doesn't judge Joel, and he's his friend.
Caddy was trained to work with a child with autism by the charity Dogs for Good. There are special commands he follows, but a lot of what he does is instinctive. He somehow senses when Joel feels stressed, and he'll place his head or some of his body weight on Joel, gently de-stressing him. One of the biggest changes is Joel used to refuse to go outside, and on the few times he did, he often ran out in front of speeding traffic.
Joel didn't want to go anywhere. Everything frightened him too much, and for us inside, it was like we were just in a big darkness.
What are some of the things that you can do now that you couldn't do before Caddy came to live with you?
The main thing that I can do now is, well, go outside. Because even if you try to get me go outside before we had a Caddy, I would never do that.
Now, what I would have loved to have shown you is Joel out walking with Caddy now, but with the weather so bad this week for filming, we were confined to indoors. As these photos show, going to a cafe, the cinema, the aquarium, all these experiences are not just possible, they're enjoyable. And here's one that made me smile. Before Caddy, even cleaning his teeth was incredibly traumatic for Joel. Not anymore. Caddy just sits alongside, having his canine scrubbed. And it's because of this profound effect Caddy's had, Joel and Caddy are among 4 finalists in the Crufts You Can Uber Friends for Life competition. And whether they win or they're the runners-up, that will never change. Claire Manning, ITV News.
Let's hope they win.
Let's hope they clean up at Crufts. Hey. Simon's with us now.
Now, when you say win,
yes,
there is other winning to be done. Will you be crowned top dog, or is this going to be the start of a rough weekend, as we do for the first time this year? Sunrise or sunset?
Yay!
It's back with some gorgeous pictures from across the region, but from which end of the day? So, Harry Carter in Totton took this one yesterday, looking from Portsmouth towards the Isle of Wight.
I think that's a sunrise.
It's a sunset.
Oh!
From the wonderfully named Slufters Pond in the New Forest from Nick Lucas. What about that now?
Rise.
Set.
Oh!
Time for a quick game now of Name That Holiday Camp.
That's a definite sunrise.
Is it? But where is it?
We want the
Butlins,
answer.
Rangers is the answer there. Yeah, you were.
2-1.
Okay.
2-1.
One of the marvels of prehistoric Britain here. One of the famous stones at Avebury in Wiltshire from Melanie O'Hare.
Rise.
It is a rise. Was the frost to give away there. Linda Holtby in Winchester sent in this one from White Shoot Ridge, just behind her house.
Rise, Fred.
Oh, rise.
It's a sunset.
Oh.
And finally, a
Trick
spectacular sky. Looking towards Bicester from Edgecott in North Buckinghamshire from Stephanie.
It's all down to you.
No, it's down to us.
It's down to us.
Rise.
Rise.
Set. Oh! I think I won.
You did one. 4-2.
Defeat from the champion, Mr. Simon Parkin.
Never mind.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Well, here are the hits and headlines as far as the weekend weather goes. There will be more decent sunrises and sunsets, a bit like this one. A lovely one from Ruth in Southampton. Even the Swans quite liked this. Plus, we'll see some fine sunny spells. There'll be a fair bit of cloud at times, and yes, there will be more mist and murk. But the temperatures are the big thing. Your average around this time of year, well, we'll be looking at 8-9 degrees to be pretty good going, but already this week we've seen 12-13 degrees. As we move into next week, Monday could be a very mild day, 14, 15, maybe even a 16 somewhere in the region. Pretty exceptional for the end of February. For tonight, it's a mild one. We've got a fair bit of cloud on top of us. Where we've got the clear skies, again we'll see the mist and fog develop, particularly over the higher ground. Temperatures frost-free at least. We're looking at lows of around 6-7 degrees, and the winds will stay light too, but that means nothing to stir up any mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. So, bit of a grey start, but things will improve. The mist will lift, the cloud will tend to break. We should get some decent spells of sunshine as the day goes on. The winds will stay light, and the temperatures will once again get up into double figures pretty much everywhere. 10-11 degrees, that's 52 in Fahrenheit. If you are heading off to Ascot for the racing tomorrow, you can find full coverage on ITV4 from 10 o'clock in the morning, and at least you won't need your brolly, probably not even your coat, because it will be a mild and dry day. If the seaside is more your kind of thing, your high tide times tomorrow, 3:30 in the morning at Brighton, and then around 10 to 4 come the afternoon. And then Sunday will be another decent day. There's some rain overnight to take us into Sunday. Should have cleared by Sunday itself, but there will be a fair bit of cloud.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
In just a moment, we've got the ITV Evening News with Ranveer Singh.
For now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, that's Sangeeta, Simon, me and Mr. Tic Tac, Mr. Andy Pate. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy weekend. OK.